Now what we're going to do is continue breaking this down. Like I said, I projected 2 females. That means I'm really supposed to look at that self-love and help me make known the unknown about myself. And what's interesting, my dissertation, which I hope to God gets to be done this year, is about, and I should just say thank you God for it's done, the intensity of the fact that the feminine energy needs to be changed so that it becomes more self-love instead of what we're forced to believe. So I have no problem having people disagree with me, because it's not about a disagree. It's about showing that there's my perspective, then there's your perspective, and then there's yours. And there might be a way that I may not have thought about it before. But the idea that I can't allow it on my wall because of my selfishness? No. I choose to not have to have where somebody is saying it's my way or the highway. No. So I just, guess what? You do not, this is my wall. It's just like, this is my skin, please do not write on it. And so it was but the power of choice, and the RTJP kicks in and will think, oh, what do they think of me? You know what? That if I believe that they're going to hurt me, I need to go do some healing. Now, the troll way is simply what, Jen?
Oh, the definition of an internet troll is somebody who, it's like poking the bear. All they're doing is they're saying just enough to get an emotion, to get a rise out of you, to get the fight going. All they're doing, the only purpose is to poke so that they get that response.
They want to disagree, and then they want to tell you their righteous way of doing it. And some people, I've had another internet troll, I've been working on this issue for a while. Oh, I'm just playing the devil's advocate. Well, good for you for being the devil. Go for it. You just don't need to be on my page.
Advocate somewhere else.
Exactly. And I still have that choice whether I want to engage or not. And they're pissed because they can't engage me. Well, I can do it to everybody else. How come I do it to you? Well, guess what? At home, you don't play this way. Yeah. Screw that. Now, the hell way is when you over-identify with the personality so much that there's anguish, pain, and suffering and torture. I mean, when the worst thing a person could do was tell you that God hated them, because if you believe that the one that created you hates you, then you mean that you're going to be in torture and suffering. There is no really support of love. It's like saying, oh, I have a mom and dad, but they hate me. At the moment that you get conceived and you're born, mom and dad hate me. Well, what kind of love relationship is that? You won't have that relationship. So, learning to find out that the hell way is going to be something other than who you can be. And they're taking your power back. Learning to not lose power, but take your power back. Now, what I said was stopped and noticed what was brewing in my heart. There is the emotion, oh my God, I'm just so angry. And then there's a feeling of, and this is what I was trying to tell people before, and people say, well, I didn't feel that. It's like, but you felt something. And finally, the word is that it was brewing. I could feel it brewing. It's simmering. I can feel it. It is where you stew. You don't really have made a noise yet, but that guy cut me off. And all of a sudden it starts to stew in you. Or you don't even have to stew it, because then you're going to spiel out by saying nasty words and showing how angry you are.
Well, there is a visceral response that's going on with that brewing or simmering, because your cells are still vibrating in some way. They might not be fully agitated, but they're still vibrating because they're still responding to that situation. It may not be an outburst like a full boil, like when you're cooking or making water boil on the stove, but you can kind of, every once in a while you see a little bubble. I mean, there is a chemical reaction going on.
Yes. And the cells vibrate because of the chemical peptides. The chemical peptides come from the way that we engage in our reality. So every thought we think, the hypothalamus creates chemical peptide. But if you are feeling your environment, you walk into a space and it doesn't feel safe, you're going to create chemical peptides so you can vibrate that way. And what's interesting to watch is how you don't see something. Most people say, well, if it's a sound pitch, then maybe it's where we're not hearing it. Well, everything is a frequency-based thing. If you take all parasites, their frequency, you can see the hertz level, the hertz, H-E-R-T-Z. And if you look at the viruses, they have a hertz. And the bones have a hertz, and that can be replicated in each and every one of us. So trash and the way that we create ourselves and the way that the furniture is arranged and the way the color is, they all vibrate at a frequency based. So it's very important that the visceral is meaning this particular response that your body is going to start to do the physiology. It's going to start taking shape based on the frequencies from these chemical peptides. Now, sometimes I get too technical and I'm sorry, but sometimes we need that knowledge.
Because there's internal feeling, and then there's actual I'm touching my environment feeling.
Yes.
So just distinguishing between those two.
Yes, and so stewing in my heart is because we are physical and spiritual, but it comes through this heart-based, and it's the knowledge that sets us free, but it's not putting, how do we put it, it's not really always putting facts and figures, because it's that way that our brain integrates that information in the midbrain, and that's where intuition comes from, is that part of the midbrain minus your personality. And when you can allow yourself to put your ego aside and to be in that space, is to trusting that part minus the emotional response, where you can sit and feel it simmer in you, and you can notice and let them communicate, and then you have the filters, and I always tell you to create a filing cabinet so that your spirit can communicate with guides and other stuff minus your personality. They can show you stories and events again so that you can fine tune, and anything that would make you not be able to hear them, you need to heal that. Alright, so what else is important? Knowing, okay, so I have been noticing that the way that I had explained what paranormal was different, because in my mind I hadn't been growing up in just a straight paranormal world. Paranormal happens all the time, and then the Lord has, the guidance of that source said I needed to come over to Sepia, meet Mark, or well actually Mark come found us, and then we're here, and it's about the diversity of the different way paranormal is created, worded, and being. That I actually met through the internet. Somebody, one of my friends, said to me, "Oh, you need to meet her," and then that same friend said to her, "You need to meet Brenda." So we met through the internet yesterday, and we picked up conversation as if we had left off and knew each other before, and I thought, oh wow, she is in just 15 minutes away from me, and it's another town in Owasso, and she's created a store called the Mystic Visions, and so she is paranormal, and they do investigations in closer to home and that's so cool. But why is that important? It just goes to show that I'm bringing to me, magnetizing to me, closer to my home, how people are in my space and want to believe in this stuff. Which leads us to, I had asked Spirit, okay, we're not really making a lot of money doing my love, which is what I'm talking about, doing every day, working with people. So what am I supposed to be doing? Because I see the bigger picture unfolding, and I had a choice in the past, which I had to do it alone or to take the people I love with me, and without having to feel like one is holding each other back. And so as I know that Jen's getting in her space, my husband's getting in his space, and we're all going to be creating this awesome space. Until then, what can we do to help us bring in extra money, but still love what we do?
Supplement our income.
Correct. And I got it over and over that something that we do every day happens to be very familiar would be we watch TV. I thought, oh. Now, I know from a catalog of life that my sister-in-law has wrote fact books, statistic books of her favorite shows, like The Dukes of Hazzards and Dynasty, and I thought, really? Now, I have Charmed, and I don't know if any of you remember Charmed, but I have Charmed, all the DVDs, and I first watched them by myself, then watched them with my daughter, then watching them with Jen, and then watching them with my husband. I'm thinking, wow, I as much as I watch these, I should just write a book about it. And then I'm realizing that that was the answer that went to the question I had thrown to Spirit. Seriously? And all I heard was, you know this stuff inside and out. It is paranormal, it's about witches, it's about demons, it's about that, and we could put our own spin on it because we would give you facts, and I already know how I'm going to write out the format, and which we're excited about. So we don't know what it's going to look like, except for we're going to take this pet project and hopefully we can make it into a reality.
Do something with it.
And I have all these wonderful little things that I want to put, but I will not say it because you don't tip your hand. You just give little teasers here and there.
Say something we're working on.
So what's going to happen is we probably will end up sharing on this show things about Charmed and going to giving you probably the spiritual, we'll maybe talk about an episode and then talk about the spiritual aspect of it. So Spiritually Charmed, my husband is what came up with that name. He says, well, if you do that, you can call it Spiritually Charmed. You know, and I loved it. Just like when you have a minions and people that are helping you instead of you stay in your house, they are called ascended minions.
Ascended minions.
You know?
And we have our group from the classes that Brenda teaches, the Empowerment Through Enlightenment, and somebody will say, okay, come on, Ascended Minions, I need an answer.
Yes, because we know that you're not here to hurt us. We're created a safe space, but we created a non-judgmental space, and we were looking for everybody else's perspective and experiences that they've gone through. Now, I'm not going to go through every experience in this lifetime again. You're more than welcome to go through certain things, and you are too. But how about if we all come together and say, this is what I learned, this is what I felt, this is who I'm being from this perspective.
Right, this is a shared experience.
Exactly. And I know that in our coding, we have all gone through the same stuff, but what we remember in this particular life is very important and destined just for who we are. So we had done a we did a talk over at the Raw Foods group, and it was really great. Now, as I'm talking, we had shared who we were, which was good, to help the audience to feel the traumas and the dramas, and we were explaining our traumas and dramas so that they can notice that we are not those. And I like what she was saying in hers was, I came in this world and I had this and this happened, but did I have them just so that I can know what they are, so I can share with people, help people get through those issues? And I say yes and no. Yes, but we don't have to do all of them, because if we were to write a list, it'd probably be thicker than the encyclopedia about all the ways that a person can be. You know, so
right.
I'm grateful that you went through the route you did. I'm grateful I went through the route I did. So that is one thing that we're doing, is we're going to start doing books. Now, if you're interested in Charmed and all of these stuff, and if you don't mind listening to facts and stories, and looking at the spiritual thing, because you have to remember that it was a chunk of time. It started in a certain year and ended in a certain year, so there is a group consciousness that was playing out during that time. And who knows, we may even look up facts of events that could have been happening on the planet. We don't know. I have no idea how Spirit's going to make it happen, but it is.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting because it was before and after that whole Y2K thing.
That is
which
true.
Was, yeah, it was so fascinating that Y2K came and went.
Yep. And it's not, you know, and yes, people are used to being prepared. And we were talking about that with war. Boiled down to is, why is there war? When you split the yin and yang to the point where yang seems to have the hierarchy, even when we had the woman hierarchy, the yin, there is a certain way of the properties of the yang was that it's supposed to lash out, it's supposed to make happen. And there's the extremes of creating reality. Oh, I created this book because that's yang. I created it. But then there's the emotional aspect of it, correct, Jen?
Yes.
Okay, dislike when she just goes, yes, so I need
All
to
of a
heal
sud-
that.
oh.
I need to heal that part of my heart that says I dislike that because I was waiting for a lob instead of just yes.
Right, I felt, I answered and I felt something happen in my head, and then all of a sudden, any thoughts about what you were talking about
Ping.
vanished.
It's just like when I'm talking to my husband, and me and him are having a conversation, and then we went live, and I'm talking about it. He'll go yes and not elaborate anymore. So, alrighty. So it is being left hanging out there in the wind, but it's no skin off my back because this is who I am. This is what what I do.
And we'll sync back up.
We'll sync back up where we're supposed to. Just like during the speech, I said, okay, so we didn't get to make our board. And it's like, no big deal. I know Spirit will just talk. And I got to the point where I knew I was missing something. So I turned to her and I said, what else do we have on this wonderful list? She pulls out that it says messages in water. Do you think Spirit could not cue that? And we're off. I feel a question in the audience. We're not going to talk about that. Because I could not make it go with the book that Dr.
Matsuro Emoto.
And it's messages in water. And what can your thoughts do? If thoughts can do this to water, imagine what it can do to you, considering we're made up of water. And I could not lob that my way. And then I thought to myself, you know what? I could have just handed her the microphone and please explain and let her talk. But I also know this is her first talk with me about this particular subject. So it wasn't about to really just throw her on the spot. Okay, so where do we go from here? And so Spirit says you go this way.
And then you come back and you're like, oh, well, here's something that was missing out of the talk. You know, we didn't get to talk about messages in water. I said, it's funny you should say that. Because you asked me about this. I said, do we want to talk about this? And you said, no, there's a question I feel intuitively in the audience, and we'll go that way. And I'm like,
I could
and
not
I'm
make a connection of a link with her.
Right, and I'm not going to force, hey, we have to talk about this because it's on
No.
the list. It was like, hey, this is an option if we want to talk about it. You're like, yeah.
But were you nervous?
No, because I knew that
Okay, next
you
time I will hand you the mic and let you speak then if you weren't nervous. But I really got that they said, and they just shoved everything in that direction. I'm like, okay, we'll go over here.
Because you had handed me the mic at other points during the talk too and said, hey, why don't you talk about this?
But I knew you were quite confident to talk about all the other stuff.
Yeah.
You know, so we'll work that out and be in sync.
So that's part of what. So what it is it's part of our launching process.
Right, and we're learning. We're getting in sync. Now, I had at different points throughout my whole career, my whole life. This started a long time ago. Somebody will call and they'll ask me to pray, or they're in a bad position, and then they will just think of me, and then all of a sudden they will feel that it's done, and I've done my part, and then, oh, it worked out. We had a great result. So there is this wonderful man that...
He's such a fan.
He's such a fan. And I didn't realize how much of a fan until he keeps writing me. And I don't know if he just read my post or how he knows it, but he says, when I'm with him, I always say, it is done. And so he goes, oh, you got the Einstein factor, which is I to the second power D. So it's I to D. It's funny because my nickname is 2D.
And it is done.
It is done. It's done. And so he asked me to pray, and I say, it is done. Now, when I say it is done according to their soul's choice.
And divine source working together
Right.
as to whatever is going
It's taking that governing fear and just saying, okay, we're going to create a pathway, we're going to help conquer through that, and we're going to create source and the energy of the person to do what is necessary for that path. But I've got back nothing but very much wonderful results. I mean, my friends will call me up, oh my gosh, I prayed and I asked for your help, and the next thing you know, I felt it is done, stamped on them, and sure enough, it worked. So he writes me back, he asks me something, and I had saw it, and my computer went down, so I wasn't able to write back, and then when I got back on, well, where the heck that question? Did I dream it? No, it is done. So basically, I just sat there and sent some energy and just balanced and do what I do. So he writes me back. Miss Brenda, I know that many times when people ask you for help with their loved ones or for themselves, they never get back to you. And that's true. I know that there have been times that I've asked you for help for others, and I do not get back to you mainly because those that contacted me so so I could pass the asking to you. They did not come back to me. I can say for sure that this woman asked me to contact you personally through Facebook, and so I did. And it was about her brother. She said that she felt your "it is done" it had already happened. Thanks, dear friend, and as you say, your medicine is God's medicine. Amen. Now, what had happened was they had a heart attack, and they were going to do open heart surgery. But when they had started to do the examination, they found in the examination the tissues, his body already started to repair and create another pathway so that his heart would function. They thought that was particularly odd. And all she says is, nope, nope, it was because of the prayer. And again, the way that we create our reality is through prayer, the belief system. Did I have anything to do with it? I don't know. Am I going to take credit? No, I'm only going to take credit for the fact that I intentionally said yes to helping this soul. That's part of what it is for me to be the healer, is to help the soul. You have to help yourself. And I will show you how, but at the same time there are certain events that do occur. It has been following me for years, so I have just... First I always say, oh no, I have nothing to do with it, but then when people would call me, you'd be like, oh, all right, I won't say that anymore. I had been a part because I had chose up through the entanglement cord to say, it is done. We're going to take a small break, and we'll be right back. Exactly. What we're going to do for the people that are personally that's with us, we're going to do a reading for Kimberly. I hope that's okay, and if it is, kind of just say yes or something so that we can see that you are here. And then we will do one for Octarine.
Okay, Tristan, they're still there.
Yep.
There's a little bit of a lag.
Well, sometimes also a lot of people turn on the show and then they go do about their business and listen to the show.
Right, which is great. We like streaming.
Yes. I do that often. I'll just turn it on and walk away. Yep. And listen and enjoy and do what I need to do. Oh, well, that's interesting. Card flew out, but I don't know if it's for Kimberly or not. And me without a pendulum. Oh, look at my embarrassment. Tee hee hee. Do we have one close? Do you have one?
There's a whole bunch in your store hanging up on
No.
the pendulum racks. That
Yes, we do have these for sale.
Ah.
All these
Yeah, okay, so you're still here. That's good. It's a new system that we're getting used to also in the chat room, but you're here, so that's great.
Oh, yes. Okay, alrighty. So I do sell pendulums and other things that I have. Someday I might put them all up. So I'm going to say, is this card that fell out, was this Kimberly's? No, that is something to pay attention to. Okay. So, Kimberly. Flying cards, yes. Oh, like that one. How's that one?
I got Field of Dreams would be funny if you got the flying.
Yeah, that's true. But we are looking at what we want. And it's becoming that wizard of awareness about the Field of Dreams. So now I need to go find something very specific. And I thought I was already specific enough.
Okay.
So let's just throw those cards down.
More specific.
So these are in the choice nature. So we're looking at the emotions, the spiritual, and I think red represents physical.
Correct.
Okay, so learning to be the wizard of awareness is where we call becoming the observer within yourself and that spiritual investigation. And the Field of Dreams represents that. Let's find out what it represents. Cannot get distracted. Stay focused, Brenda.
Yes.
Your thoughts, feelings, and beliefs are always engaging the vast field of pure potential. This is the perfect time to harness the field of vast potential not yet realized in your life. Great abundance is yours if you're willing to do the work alongside. Now, hopefully we're back. We watched how we got kicked off the server, and now we have rehooked ourselves.
Okay, so
I was
we
talking
should be back.
about the Field of Dreams for Kimberly.
And it's interesting because I was writing in the chat room, getting buggy again. I don't know what that means. Yep, back. Okay.
Okay.
So I was writing about, so they had to, they got kicked out of the chat room because they weren't participating, chatting, which is
Yes.
fine because they're listening. Like we said,
Yeah,
you turn
people
it
do
on
that.
and you walk away, and that's okay. But what's happening is that now they're coming back in and they got logged out. And I said, so we're getting used to new programs. And I said, maybe that's a clue. And then that's when we
Yes, we
stopped.
are. So how does one get used to their programs?
Because we're
It's
doing
the learning curve.
Right.
When you are introduced to something that's familiar to you, even if it isn't familiar, you're creating a new healthy pathway based on an old program. If the old program is that you were thrown off center, that because you didn't know it and somebody yelled at you and you can't process how they yelled at you, then you're thinking, okay, if I start something new equals I have to get yelled at. Or I started something new and I have to denigrate myself. And if I start something new, then I'm supposed to hate it. Well, you don't have to lose it like Jen and I were starting. She had to reboot. Sometimes you have to reboot your system so that the old bugs are out of the way so you can have a smooth connection. And for us, things weren't working right, and it's like, okay, we don't have to lose it. Maybe it isn't the right timing. We'll work it out. And after a few minutes, we're either going to be hit by the jump rope, or you're going to learn that you're in sync with the jump rope. What do I mean by getting hit by the jump rope?
Okay, so we'll talk about the jump rope. So the literal jump rope, I remember that you had two people, one on each end of this long jump rope, and they start swinging the jump rope, and then the other person who's going to play, they start. I remember I'm starting to do the old idea of playing jump rope, so my body has that remembrance of playing jump rope, and you start rocking back and forth because you start wanting to come in rhythm.
Yes.
With it so that you can play and just basically just jump right in and start jumping and playing the game in a smooth transition. It worked out. It went well. Other times you look at it and you want to play, or maybe you don't want to play, or you want to play or you don't want to play, and all of a sudden, flap, you get smacked by that jump rope. And so we use that as a metaphor as to how we're doing things, projects, new endeavors like this radio station.
Exactly. And, Jen, you don't need to lose it. You don't have to get yelled. You don't, at the first response, 333, first response, you don't have to be screaming at it. And usually that's the moment of how you taught yourself to recover, was anger gets you through fear. Anger is the only one that actually gets you through fear, except for when you create closure to fear, then joy just be present. So
you push. It's a push. It's a motivation.
it feels like you're being, she says she never really gets kicked out, but I think this is a new program. Is this still ZAT?
No, it's a different.
So it's a new program, and that we don't know the rules of the program yet. Maybe they expect you that you'll stay engaged in it because you are now looking for the hidden rules. And if you are like us, sometimes you start to build something and you don't want to look at the manual because you're more of a visual person. And then you learn all of these little things that make it smooth. So if this breaks down, I know why now. So, okay, so I can now adapt and say I don't need to do that, I can do this. And what happens is that when this all occurs, depends on how you react. How are you trained to react? And training, like I said, most generally it's because you're using anger to get through it. Because that'll help you conquer to get to where you need to go.
And I overcame. I did it.
And which is good, but at the same time, the foundation is still about health.
So it's about learning how to get in rhythm and in sync.
So she's learning to be that wizard of awareness, to allow to stand back and be in an observation mode, allow herself into the field of dreams, which says your thoughts, feelings, and beliefs are always engaged in the vast pure potential. Which means this is the perfect time to harness the field of vast potential not yet realized in your life. Great abundance is yours if you're willing to do the work alongside the gentle gardener, which means God helps those that help themselves. Allowing yourself to say, I'm going to consciously and actively take a part and to do this. And use my spiritual, mental, emotional, physical self. Go.
You're participating in the situation. Consciously.
Like I participated in having a relationship with my husband, but I didn't want to participate in the weeding aspect where it was about the tit for tat. I don't need to do that, so I pulled out and says I do not need to engage in this. Be clear about your thoughts, feelings, and beliefs. Concentrate on your best life regardless of the temporary outer conditions imposed upon you by the greater world, which it has its own story to tell. And in a way I say yes, in a way I say no to that, because again, we live in the world of polarity. The world is really us. It is our inner world that creates that outer world with all of our fears of that caudate nucleus. All right, now what happens here is, if you look at this spiritual investigation, Jenna's learning to create a pattern of knowing how to resolve it quicker and faster. This is how she becomes the master at paying attention to her surroundings, knowing when we're cut off, knowing how to recover it quickly. And she doesn't need to go into panic mode or anger mode, or to go into, oh my God, help me, Mark. None of that. It is all that part of yourself that you have now learned that if this happens, which it can happen because that's the law of averages, you know, I know how to recover from it. It doesn't have to, but I can do this. So she's learning to master herself.
Right,
And so
there's a little nervousness because I don't like the idea that we're not on the air. So there's a little like nervousness, a little butterfly in the stomach, but it's just about smoothly reconnecting.
And then I have to hold the points, and I lost a page. I have to hold the points that have to do with the camera. So,
Yes.
I forgot to turn it back on last time. So, be clear of your thoughts, knowing what your patterns are. Do you go into anger? Do you go into an old belief? Do you hear what you say? Oh, that always happens to me. Well, time to take and tap that out. Give it a color and a number, and then tap it down to nothing. Then you will actually create a different energy to project out there. You have a basket full of seeds that are quite powerful, for your talents are divinely inspired and will indeed lead to great harvest to be shared with others. Now what's interesting, as soon as Kimberly starts to learn about this pattern, she's probably going to get all excited, and she can then tell people, oh my gosh, this is great. Whereas some people learn about their pattern and notice how negative it is in their life, and then they have to go and be their wounds and have to go find friends that way. So when you learn to look at the positive energy that comes at the same time as the negative energy, then you can start pulling in like-minded people, different stories, different things. It says you will reap what you have sown. Big dreams, dream beautiful, take action, and tend to garden to your life and experience the extraordinary. So, now, as she's learning to be in this different state of mind, because heaven is about that state of mind. Hell is also a state of mind, but if you heal those issues, you won't have it. These cards that I have now have been laid in the option choice. You can go either way. The prosperity begins, which is the physical. They're saying physically prosperity begins. And if you get this card, a message of beginnings, prosperity, wealth, and new business, which could soon be the palm of your hand. It may result from hard work, past efforts, and investment, or it could just show up unexpectedly. It may even be presented as a gift. With careful and diligent planning, recent endeavors and money-making ideas show great possibilities and promise of monetary gain. This is a time to focus on the most beneficial outcome. So watch what you think and you say, and just start to be led in learning how to play the jump rope. It says, expect the best and envision that project or new job having a successful result. Feel it, see it, and most important, believe it. When you focus on the abundance and the positive aspect of the material world and offer gratitude, prosperity in all forms will flow even more freely. Again, this was sideways, so it becomes an option choice. The second card is about that, let me see if I get it right here. It is said to be, alrighty, so here I am in the middle of learning to, it's the mental state. The mental body is the way we think and we define them. It's the way that we have chosen to help create our world. Is suffering in silence. The number 9 denotes completion. Are you finally ready to let go of those limiting negative beliefs, or are you allowing the issues in your life to become bigger than you really are, or they are? For instance, when you emotionally triggers you, you can't help notice that the self-talk increases and the emotion and the stewing becomes larger than life, and you can't help that, okay, I gotta do a spiritual investigation, yeah, we're gonna do that. And then all of a sudden, if you emotionally start to really look at it from that perspective, and you can create something that's really not there. You can create something else more than what is there. But if you notice that the emotion is what's there, then stop, heal it. And then you can say, wait a minute, even though I made this decision that I don't like myself, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. You can learn to take and change how you know it and change the frequency of your intensity of it. Your mind has been doing quite a job on you lately, and even your dreams may be trying to get your attention. When you learn to let go of worry, despair, and sense of hopelessness, a positive new way or path will be shown to you. And letting go in this case is not your normal, oh, I gotta let it go. Oh, there's the worry. Okay, I'm not supposed to worry. No,
I'm not gonna
tap it out.
I'm not going to focus on it.
Yeah.
No, it is using the meridian tapping to
Disrupt those signals.
Yes.
Now, the last card they had came up happened to be in the emotional. So you had physical, mental, and emotional aspect. And this card says fulfillment of wishes. This card being one, if not the most positive of the minor arcana cards, represents the emotional satisfaction, contentment, and enjoyment. Your wishes are coming true. Are you ready? Happiness, success, good health, completion, and accomplishments of your dreams and goals are in the palm of your hand. This card acts as a reminder to hold on to the beneficial feelings from accepting and receiving what you asked to strive for. Now that these will assist you in the future when you may need inspiration and positive energy. So have your little resource bag, not of negativity, but of positive stuff. So when you're not sure about something and you normally would react and going, oh my God, pull out a positive. That's why we have a lot of oracle cards that are about positive sayings to help you to go the route you need of getting back on track. This is the right time to heal those past memories and have been holding you hostage. Forgive others and yourself and see that your wishes, desires, and goals have a clear, unobstructed path to your heart, soul, and life. What this means is that you have the ability to stand back, minus your emotional personality, and start sculpting your life the way you want it. This is why they're in the options. Jen, I see you pulled cards for her.
Okay, so the first card I got from Archangel Raphael about healing is exercise is key, but it's not always about that physical exercise. It is about what do you need to exercise. Is it your voice? Is it your creativity? Is it your spirituality? What is it that needs to be exercised? And they're saying that you need to be vigilant about it. And what is a sanctuary that you've created for yourself currently? Well, maybe it's time to get outside of that and exercise something new.
And you're welcome, Kimberly. Hopefully, good Lord is taking care of that because we do see Frontier working.
So,
now,
okay, so
Octarine, one of the things that maybe we should ask Mark is there a call-in number or a way that people can call in just to listen? Because I know Mark has told me different things, like when you click on the code, it takes you to the website and the QR code, and there's other ways of listening. So we will find out that question. So hopefully Jen and I will remember to ask him, and
we'll know the
again,
options.
we want to see if there's a call-in number that you can just listen. I know you can download us later, but that doesn't help.
Right, so
we're the ones that have to put it on Tindex, so you can do it later, which I am getting a lot of those done. And for this one, you have to go to Tindeck MW Reveal to be able to hear these shows. So, Octarine, we are going to look at it. And I said, girl, you have been there right from the start. You were the very first caller on the very first show that I did over a year ago. And you have shown great support and helped us out in many of the times. We got error.
Okay, and we're going back over here.
Ron, if you're online, please get off. I cannot have you stealing the bandwidth right now. We're doing the show and it keeps breaking every 2 minutes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Okay, so shut that off up there before you do anything. Okay. I can put you on video.
On again, off again. Oh, so is that a message? So we've had, for both the people that we did messages for, I wonder if that's
okay.
a message. On again, off again.
I am going to say, okay, when people want to receive our message, why am I projecting this? I am projecting this because it's about finding the flow and learning it and then becoming the coach. Okay, so why is, Kimberly says, hi Ron. Oh, she ran the other way. She's a great kid.
So it's the frustration. It is.
Now it's frustration, how we act, what's happening, the disconnecting. I know I'm supposed to be the soul coach looking at this. Now, why is Jen creating, okay, so is Jen creating this too? Now, how is she creating it? She's creating it as being the observer. All right, so now we're going to look at it from first Kimberly. Kimberly, why was she creating this for her reality? Because remember, it's two souls that come together. It is that, well, it goes under the, I think, guilt, that about something in particular. So basically, is this a freeze mode? And that's exactly what the server's been doing, is a freeze mode.
Yeah.
Anything very specific, and no, we just gave a reading because it's feeling like the options are gone. There it is. Well, I just, I'm going to hang in there the last few minutes of the show, and we're going to keep doing this. The missing the options is what happens is, and then the caudate nucleus, which governs fear, helps emanate by creating your hells and the hellish state, the state that you're in that makes it so that it's uncomfortable, bad things that occur, all of this. And we can, say it is that it's this, that, or the other, but it's what happens is when the opportunities start to come your way, which is what we're doing, we're creating opportunities, it's entering your gray matter. What will occur is that if you have a caudate nucleus that has fear based on it, then if it's not familiar, it's out of sync, or it's like, maybe it's too good to be true, then what happens is that you can't come past the caudate nucleus, and so then you have missed opportunities. You need it to come through, get into that part of your subconscious mind, which is the midbrain.
Which is why healing all that fear, and that's been my personal journey since I've been involved with Brenda, is really healing that fear. Fear was such a governing part of my life. I think that you came in with grief, I came in with fear. My mom talks about how I was just a scared little kid, constantly shy, timid, didn't want to talk, didn't want to engage, and it was just that fear. And so it's healing that. And so then, yes, so when those opportunities come in, they'll be jumping in our within the jump rope.
All right, so I know that Octarine, there's been a part of you that wants a reading but can't make it happen. I've been trying to tell you that I want to give you a reading for free because of what you've done and helped us out being there. While I was giving Kimberly the reading, I kept hearing Octarine is, and that's all I heard was a stutter. And then now it becomes to you that I can give you this opportunity because I'm grateful, and now it becomes a stutter.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
That's exactly right. There's a clue. When it comes to you have no idea what we're talking about, there's misinformation that comes in. I totally have been wanting to connect with you, and we haven't been able to connect. I wanted to give you a reading on Monday or Wednesday or whatever day it was, and that didn't happen. Right. You had the money that you wanted a private reading, and then that didn't happen.
Error. The sound is so choppy, so we're going to have to Facebook message you.
Yeah, we will. We'll Facebook message you. But again, what is happening is that it's just not the timing. And I'm just going to ask, is it not the timing for her to get the message? No, there's something playing out that's very important for you. And that is that awkwardness and everybody hearing it and exposed to hearing your story. And you don't want certain things to... No, I'm not doing a show tonight, sweetie.
No, today is just Friday afternoon.
Yep.
But thank you. We like hearing that you want us.
Yes, yes, we really appreciate that, and we do need to hear from time to time.
So thank you.
We will be back on Monday night on Sepia from 8 to 10, and then we have our two other shows on Blog Talk, which is on Monday afternoon and Wednesday night. So again, Octarine.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
She loves us.
Yes.
But for those of you who can't hear, because I'm reading and it's a radio show, so you need to hear what I'm saying.
And the video, you get to watch how her expressions are.
So thank you.
So one
for
card
the support.
I'm going to give you, Miss Karen, and yes, she loves us too. And we're going to give her just one card. I'm not going to give her too deep. Is that's coming to life, and what part of you is coming to life, and we're going to do that one step at a time, putting certain things on the shelf and allowing ourselves to move forward and do